Welcome back to the deep dive. I have to admit, the stack of papers we're looking at today gave me a bit of a headache.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot to get through.
It really is. Not because it's poorly written or anything, but because the premise is just, well, it's massive.
Well,
We are looking at a philosophy that basically claims to solve the engineering problem of existence.
right, engineering problem is a really good way to put it. It's a dense set of texts, but unlike a lot of metaphysical writings that rely on poetry or vague metaphors, this material treats the creation of the universe and your life really as a mechanical process.
And that's the hook. That's what grabbed me. It's claiming there's a specific engine running reality. But before we get into the gears and levers, let's establish the scope here. We're asking the big one. How does anything come into existence at all? And if there is a system, can we hack it?
I mean, hack might be a bit too aggressive of a word for this, but understanding the system is definitely the goal. The mission for today's deep dive is to decode this philosophy, which argues that the human mind isn't just a camera taking pictures of the world.
It's a projector.
Exactly. It's a projector.
A projector that thinks it's a camera.
That's a perfect way to phrase it. The text suggests there is this originating spirit, and that our individual minds are miniature reproductions of that spirit. A reciprocal.
Okay, wait.
Yeah.
Stop right there. Reciprocal. I saw that word pop up like a dozen times in the notes. Before we go any further, what are we actually talking about? Because in math, a reciprocal is like it's 1 divided by x.
Sure, yeah. Think of it more like an outlet and the electric grid. The grid is the universal power, right? But it needs the outlet, the reciprocal, to actually express itself in a specific room.
Okay, I follow that.
The outlet creates a localized center for that universal energy to flow through. So the text argues that you, the individual listener, are that outlet for the originating spirit.
Got it. I'm the outlet, but the source material starts way before I even show up. It starts with the originating spirit, just all by itself. And this is where I kind of got stuck.
The first cause problem.
Right. It asks how a spirit creates if there's nothing else around. There's no lumber, no atoms, no blueprint, nothing.
It's the ultimate chicken or the egg problem. If you are the first cause, there is literally nothing outside of you to work with. You can't use tools. So the text argues that the spirit creates through self-contemplation.
It just thinks about itself.
It has to.
Yeah.
What else is there to think about? The logic is that spirit creates by thinking. It contemplates itself as being something, let's say, life or light. And because there is no opposing force to stop it, that thought becomes a reality.
Wow.
The core axiom here is what it contemplates itself as being, that it becomes.
What it contemplates itself as a being that it becomes, I mean, it feels a little circular.
It is circular, but it's a creative circle. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy in the most literal sense. And here is why this matters to you, the learner. Since you are the reciprocal, that miniature reproduction we talked about, the exact same law applies to you.
Yeah. Okay, so if I sit here and contemplate myself as, I don't know, a millionaire, does the universe automatically make me one? Because that sounds dangerously close to that just wish for it and it happens. Stuff that, let's be honest, usually doesn't work.
And the text would absolutely agree with you. It's not about wishing. Wishing implies you don't have it. It's about establishing a mathematical relation. The author uses an arithmetic analogy that I think really clears this up.
Oh, the 4 times 2 thing?
Yes, the 4 times 2. If you write 4 by 2 on a chalkboard, you have established a specific relation. You don't have to beg the chalk to give you the answer. You don't have to force the universe to make it equal 8.
Right, because that's just how numbers work.
Exactly. Once the relation of 4 times 2 is established, the result 8 produces itself automatically. It's inevitable. And the argument here is that the creative mind works with that exact same reliability.
So when you contemplate yourself in a certain way, the result follows mechanically.
When you establish the premise, yes, the machinery just runs.
But here's the rub for me. If I write 4 by 2, I get 8 every time. But if I contemplate I am successful, I don't always get success. Sometimes I get a flat tire and a bill I can't pay.
That's because most of us aren't actually writing success on the chalkboard. We might be saying the word success out loud, but our deep structural contemplation, our true premise, is often, I am worried about money, or it is hard to get ahead. The machine is reading your actual belief. It's not reading your wish list. If you contemplate limitation deeply, you are writing a formula that equals limitation.
So the machine is totally neutral. It doesn't care if I'm happy or miserable.
Completely neutral, just like a calculator. It doesn't judge you for typing 4 times 2. It just gives you the 8. If you type destruction, it will process that request with perfect accuracy.
Man, that is unnerving. It means we're basically walking around with a loaded weapon and most of us are just spinning it on our fingers.
That is exactly what the text calls the trap of inversion. We use the power backward. But let's ground this in something physical, because we aren't just floating minds, right?
Right, we have bodies, we get sick, we age. How does self-contemplation turn into actual flesh and bone?
This part gets into what you might call metaphysical biology. The source talks about the subconscious mind acting as a builder.
Yeah, think of it like a construction site.
Exactly. You have the architect and the builder. The conscious mind is the architect. It draws up the plans. That's your self-contemplation. The subconscious mind is the builder. It takes those exact plans and builds the physical organism to match them.
And the builder doesn't ask questions.
Never. The subconscious creates the body as a vehicle or a projection of the spirit. It takes the suggestions from the conscious mind, whether they are, I am strong and healthy, or I'm getting old and frail, and it literally weaves them into the physical cells.
There was a thought experiment in the notes that I found really bizarre, but it kind of stuck with me. The distant planet scenario.
Oh, I love the distant planet analogy. It strips away all our attachment to carbon-based biology.
Right, so the author asks, imagine your essential life principle, your core you, is transported to a distant planet with a totally different atmosphere. Maybe it's methane-based or silicon.
And if you stepped out there right now, what would happen?
I'd die instantly.
Your body would die. But the thought experiment is, what if just your spirit, your creative power, went there? The text argues that the creative process is universal. Your life principle wouldn't just float around as a ghost.
It would immediately begin to clothe itself in the substance of that new planet.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
The builder, your subconscious, would take the local materials, the methane or whatever, and construct a vehicle that allows you to express life in that specific environment.
So I'd grow a methane-breathing body. That's a wild image.
It is wild, but the point is profound. We aren't the body. We are the power that makes the body.
The body is just the current costume.
Woven out of the local atmosphere, yeah. If the atmosphere changes, the costume changes. Substance is necessary for expression, but the specific type of matter doesn't actually matter.
Okay, so if we have this incredible 3D printer inside us, and we are the architects, why are the buildings crumbling? I mean, look around. There's illness, poverty, struggle everywhere. If this law of being is so perfect, why is the human experience so messy?
You just hit on 2 very important words without realizing it. Average and normal.
Average and normal. In my book, those are synonyms.
In statistics, sure, but not in engineering, and definitely not in this philosophy. Think about your teeth for a second. Is it average for people to have cavities?
Yeah, probably. Most people I know have had a filling at some point.
So cavities are the statistical average, but are cavities normal?
Oh. No, teeth are supposed to be whole.
Exactly. The norm of a tooth, its design standard, is health. The cavity is an abnormality, even if it's extremely common.
I see where this is going.
The source material argues that humanity is currently living the average existence full of struggle, limitation, sickness, but that is not normal.
So normal is actually the divine ideal.
Yes. The normal standard of personality is liberty, power, and vitality. Anything less than that is actually a malfunction of the system, even if everyone else around you is malfunctioning too.
That's a tough pill to swallow. It means my back pain isn't just how it is. It's a deviation from the norm. So how do we fix it? The text mentions an evolutionary leap, moving from the law of averages to artistic ability.
This is where we get into practical application. Think of how nature works generally. It operates on unconscious growth, the law of averages. Most people live their whole lives this way. They let the external world dictate their internal thoughts.
Like flu season is coming, so I'll probably get sick.
Or the economy is down, so I'll probably struggle. They are letting the collective statistics write the equation on their chalkboard.
They're just floating downstream.
Right. But artistic ability is when you grab the oars, you stop looking at the averages, and you start selecting the specific outcome you want. An artist doesn't look at a messy pile of paint and say, well, the paint is messy, so my painting must be messy.
The artist consciously selects specific colors to create a specific image. So we are supposed to become artists of our own existence.
Exactly. You use conscious selection and initiative.
Can you give me a concrete example of that? Because be an artist of your life sounds great on a bumper sticker, but what does that actually look like on a random Tuesday?
Sure, let's look at aging. The law of averages says you are 50 years old, so your energy naturally creates a downward curve. If you accept that, your subconscious builder says, okay, downward curve, and adjust your biology to match.
And the artistic approach.
You reject the average. You use selection. You actively contemplate. My spirit is timeless and generates energy constantly. You hold that as the premise. You force the 4 times 2 to be vitality.
So it requires active mental work. You have to stand guard at the door of your mind and reject the average thoughts.
It is defensive and offensive at the same time. You are refusing to be a statistic.
Okay, I'm with you on the biology part, but then the text takes a really hard left turn into what happens when the biology fails completely, when we die. And honestly, I struggled with the terminology here, subjective mind and objective mind. I felt like I needed a logic textbook.
It does get abstract there, so let's use an analogy that fits our modern world a bit better. Let's think in terms of coding.
I can do coding, let's hear it.
Think of the objective mind, your conscious reasoning self, as the programmer. The programmer can look at the outside world, use inductive reasoning, decide what needs to happen, and write a completely new script. It can introduce new premises.
So the objective mind is the one hitting the keys.
Yes. Now think of the subjective mind as the computer itself. The computer is incredibly powerful. It runs complex calculations instantly. It builds the reality. But, and this is the crucial flaw, it cannot write its own code.
It's purely deductive. It only creates consequences from existing premises.
Exactly. If A, then B. It can't wake up and say, you know what, I'd rather do C today. It can only run the script the programmer gave it.
Okay, so how does this apply to the crisis of death?
Well, the text identifies the physical brain as the instrument of the objective mind. It's the keyboard for the programmer.
So when we die, we lose the keyboard.
We lose the interface. Now, if a person spends their whole life just running the law of averages, never learning to code, never using artistic ability, just running whatever scripts society handed them, what happens when that screen goes dark?
Oh, wow. They lose the ability to input anything new.
They were left entirely with the subjective mind. The computer's still on, but it's just running the last program that was open. If that program was life is a struggle or I am limited, the computer just loops those old ideas endlessly.
Because they can't add new information.
Exactly. They're trapped in their own mental atmosphere because they never developed the mechanism to select a new path.
That sounds absolutely horrifying, like a glitching video game you can't reset.
It is a profound state of stagnation. But there is a loophole. The text says if a person realizes they possess initiative and selection before they die, if they realize they are the programmer, they carry that power with them.
They don't need the physical keyboard anymore because they've internalized the power.
Right. They can continue to evolve and create new conditions even without a physical body. And this leads to a really fascinating point about telepathy or mental influence.
Yeah, this is where I thought we were drifting into ghost stories for a minute. Rescue missions for the dead.
Hang on, don't think of it as ghosts. Go back to the idea of a mental atmosphere. You know how if you walk into a room where 2 people have just been having a screaming match, you can physically feel the tension in the air.
Sure, the air feels heavy.
That's a mental atmosphere. Now imagine a spirit stuck in that subjective loop we just talked about. They are trapped in a dense, limited mental atmosphere. A liberated spirit one, who acts as a programmer, can project a stronger signal into that space.
Like a stronger radio station drowning out the static?
Exactly. Because the stuck spirit is purely subjective, they are highly suggestible. The programmer spirit can telepathically impress new ideas upon them. They are literally writing new code for that trapped computer to run.
Breaking the loop from the outside? So it's not a seance, it's a transmission of data.
It's using the mechanical laws of the mind to assist the evolution of another mind. It all comes back to the engineering.
And what is the ultimate goal of all this evolution? The text mentions a resurrection principle, but it definitely didn't sound like the Sunday school version I grew up with.
No, it's much more mechanical. It goes back to the distant planet idea. If you maintain your power of initiative, the text suggests you can eventually build a new vehicle, a new body that creates its own equilibrium.
A body that isn't subject to the wear and tear of the law of averages.
You eventually build a car that doesn't rust because you finally understand the fundamental mechanics of the metal.
Man, this is heavy. We've gone from math equations to alien bodies to hacking the afterlife, but I want to land this plane. For the person listening right now who just wants to get through their week a little better, what is the synthesis here? What's the so what?
The so what is that you have to realize you are a reciprocal of the universal power. You create by reflecting that power through your own center of consciousness. You need to stop looking at external conditions to tell you who you are.
Stop looking at the mirror to see who you are.
Stop looking at your bank account, your medical chart, or the news to define your potential.
Mm-hmm.
That is looking at the result of old code. If you want to change the result, you have to go back to the source. Self-contemplation.
But practically, how do you do that?
You start by defining the law of your being every single day, not just wishing, I hope today's a good day, but declaring, I am a center of constructive power. I am vitality. I am abundance. You have to really think it until you feel the click of that relationship being established.
Until you feel the 4x2 lock-in.
Yes, because once it locks in, the subconscious builder must get to work on it. It's not a maybe, it's a mechanism.
The shortcut is realizing you're the one holding the pen. Or the keyboard, to use your analogy.
And realizing that the system is entirely designed to work for you, not against you.
It's a lot to process, but I really love the idea that we are engineers of our own experience. I want to leave everyone with a thought that hit me while reading this. The text keeps emphasizing that our thoughts become reality, right?
Right.
Well, consider this. If we align our individual thoughts with the originating spirit, that exact same mind that thought the galaxy into existence, what happens to the scale of what we can create?
If we truly align with that kind of power, I don't think we have any concept of the limit yet. We are just scratching the surface of what is actually normal.
Just scratching the surface. Well, thanks for diving in with us today.
Always a pleasure.
See you on the next deep dive. Keep contemplating.